Good morning.
Good morning.
We are up close.
Yes, we are.
Well, I was going to say, it's my fault. I forgot my laptop. So we wanted to get close and personal with you guys, up close and personal this morning. So how's everybody doing? Hope you're awesome.
It's a rainy day out there.
It is, and it's so fun. Every time I go, how's everybody doing? Like, I expect a response.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is a rainy day, but you know what? Perfect day for sewing.
That's what I was thinking. I thought, oh, this will be so good. I just hope I don't get waylaid by a nap.
No, gosh, we did the Strawberry Festival yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was fun, and I actually took a nap, and I never take naps because I'll sleep for 4 hours, but it was like 30 minutes. Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was great. Good morning, Donna.
Good morning.
This is nice, though. I can see everybody's name. Good morning, Maria. I hope you're enjoying your day off, although you didn't sleep in, apparently.
Yeah.
Because you're on here.
Yeah, you're up pretty early.
All right, so what do we talk about first? Let's do Shop Hop is still going on. The All Florida Shop Hop. I didn't bring our magazines because we're out. So a lot of people have been coming in, and it's been very steady and fun. So nothing really new to report on that. You're not doing the Shop Hop, are you?
Not really.
Okay.
Sort of randomly, but not.
Well, what I've loved is I'm asking everybody as they come in, hey, how's it been? What's been your favorite shop? What about that shop was your favorite? So I'm getting good information because I can't go to all the shops. We're too busy. And also on Facebook, the All Florida Shop Hop, they do an awesome job. People are posting
things that they're
like constantly. So it's really kind of cool to see what all the shops are doing and how different they all are.
I haven't actually had a chance to look at that. I just found out that there was one yesterday. But somebody sent me a picture of something that I guess one of the shops, a bag that one of the shops had made, which was really neat. And just seeing some of the things that people have come up with their.
It's awesome. And some of the quilts, we opted out of doing a quilt just because of time more than anything. But some of the quilts that they did with the fabric, I was kind of blown away because I'll be honest, when I first saw the fabric, I didn't love it.
Yeah.
It was very touristy Florida, but after seeing it put together, I'm like, okay, it's cool. I get it. So obviously somebody had a vision.
Yeah, somebody did. And
like,
I
these
will
colors
say,
don't normally, sorry to interrupt you, these colors are not something I normally would throw together.
but they're complementary colors.
They are, and they're very Florida, and it's fun. So
yeah.
Anyway, that's my spiel. We're having fun, and so I'm looking forward. We got a whole nother month. That's crazy.
Yeah, you could still come up with a quilt in that amount of time.
I don't. Okay. Well, speaking of which, we are going to be in Lakeland next week. This week, holy cow, this week. But the store is not closed. So I know people were asking. We're conquering and dividing. Last time we had to take all the troops, but this time everybody we're going to be open. So
good.
Don't worry, no change in plans as far as that goes.
Good.
Yeah. And I was going to wait till the end, but I want to get this done because I'm excited. So. Daytona Quilt Show was amazing. It was chaotic in the best sort of way. And I don't know if many of you saw, but hold on, I don't want to give away the winner. We had this in our booth, and it was sign up to win, $200 shopping spree, gift card. I can't remember what the sign said, but basically we were giving $200 away. And we had, I think, 300-ish names. And so I went to random.org and picked a winner this morning. So,
how did you get all these names?
It was just a sign up with a sign above it that said register to win.
No, but how did you get it in the computer?
Oh, no. I'm not a crazy person. So I counted the number of names, and so they all had a slot. Like, in other words, that's the first person is number one. And the last person, actually, I think it was like 290, like 5 or something. It was because not all of them are full.
Right.
So I punched that number into random.org and it came up with 147, I think. And drum roll, I guess there's no other way to do it, right? It was not rigged, I promise. I wanted to videotape it, but here we are. The winner is our very own Cassie Meyer. Woo, Cassie Myers. I was going to say
Lucky you.
Cassie, I swear, congratulations, first of all. That is so awesome. I was thrilled when it came up with your number, and I said immediately, oh no, people are going to think it's rigged. Because she's a super regular, and she's taught here, and she's our homie. So congratulations, Cassie. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, I was excited for that. So sorry to everybody else, but thank you for playing. We love doing drawings and giveaways. It's always fun. So, yeah. And I always want to make some sort of big hoopla, and it ends up just being me on a camera going, congratulations. But we're here. So okay, that's all I got.
That's all.
That's it. I honestly have now. I'm in quilt show mode. So this week is literally Lakeland for me. The three of us are going, so I'm kind of focused on that. But I know you brought a bunch of stuff, and I know we just did something.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about today?
So today what we thought we'd talk about, and it's going to be more of a conversation between Josh and myself, because Josh is the artist. He is the one who is trained in this and has an eye for this. And I just kind of thought we could kind of pick his brain and see what he had to say and what he had to add. And so I thought we would talk about choosing fabric for your quilt, and specifically not just choosing the fabric, but your background fabric as well, because I think that the tendency is white. You go with white. And there was for a long time, there was a fabric around, and I think it's still around, called Kona Snow. Yeah. Kona Snow went with everything. Didn't matter what fabric it was. It just seemed to fit. And I used to tell my students, just stay away from the Kona Snow, step away from it. And yet the other day I was pulling fabric from my closet, and I was looking for a background, and I pulled out a white, and I thought,
Kona
this
Snow.
is perfect. And it was Kona Snow.
Of course.
So I think, and then I thought I should just go buy a bolt of this and give into it.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't it us't be everybody just put like muslin on the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, which
yeah, and that's I still do that with some quilts, but it's you just really want to add some life, and I think I agree. I think one of my favorite backgrounds recently has been the disappearing 9 patch that I did, that I used a white, but it had a speckle in it, and it all sorts of colors in it. And I thought, oh, this is awesome. This is
well, it is awesome. Now, the only thing that I will say about using and by the way, I'm gonna try to interrupt us and say hello to everybody as they pop up, since it's on the phone. So good morning, Linda, and good morning. I can't read that. I think it says Jane. That's not gonna work so well. Mm-hmm. But the only time that I think I hate to use the word boring, but a solid, maybe a less busy background is okay for me, is when you want to showcase the quilting. Mm-hmm. And you're a long armor, so you probably have certain designs maybe that you punch in that you want people to be able to see the quilting more so. Some people choose a busy background to hide the quilting because maybe they're not confident in their quilting ability. I like a background, and we talked about it over there, or a backing, the back of the quilt to be pieced a lot of times. Like, I just love the look of it. Yeah. And you said you do too, but you said, but I don't know, sometimes what?
I want to finish the quilt.
Right. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah, right. Where can I get that flip-flop pattern? Patience, Jamie. We will talk about that in just a moment.
That's right. It's a cute pattern, isn't it? And we're going to talk about this as far as, things that you can use. The person who made this quilt used this blue as their background. And I think it's a great background. I love it. But I also wondered what else you could put there. Like if you put a white here, it will be...
Well, it would contrast. So that's kind of what I think we were going to get into, is choosing fabrics. And we actually chose, I guess we're just diving into it, by the way. Perfect segue. Thanks, Jamie. We went out and chose background fabric that we would have picked for this quilt. And so Joann said that I'm a trained artist. Yes, I went to school for fine art. That is fairly true. But she's an artist too. Don't let her fool you. She has definitely an artistic eye. Is that fair?
Yeah, but it's not trained. It doesn't really think in terms of, anyway, I won't go there.
She's got a good eye then. How about that?
It's just sort of what has naturally happened over the years. But I think that, what I loved about this is I would never have chosen that, because I would have chosen a white.
No, that would have been too I don't know. I love this selection. It's bright, it's fun. It's a flip-flop. So I think the whole beachy, it's fun. And she obviously went with batiks across the board. So I guess do you want to just show what we picked and
Sure.
and kind of why? So the first thing that I hear all the time is, well, the front's a batik, so I've got to stick with batiks. Like, are you a purist? If you use a batik,
No.
are you okay?
No, I will mix almost everything. I'll put a flannel in a quilt. I'll put regular cotton. I'll put a batik. Whatever fabric works in there, I will mix it all.
Well, right, and no, you can never go wrong with batiks. They're gorgeous, but I don't care if there's a batik mixed in with the cotton.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. But I know that a lot of people. Well, now this makes sense because of the patterns or the prints, on the batik. They all go really well together. So Irene Knight actually did this. So I don't know. Unfortunately, we can't talk to her today about it. I don't know if she was a batik purist or if she just happened to like those batiks.
Yeah, and they all went together. And this really has a water feel, like you're walking on a beach. When I thought about flip-flops, I thought, well, would I do sand? Would I do something with sand background? I always look for contrast because when I'm looking at this, obviously you want the sandal to stand out. So I'm looking for contrast. And this is a quilt that really made me think about background, because I wouldn't have chosen it because I wouldn't have thought the contrast would be high enough for these to really stand out, and yet it's a great background for it.
Yeah,
it was a really good selection, and I think I've been seeing more and more quilts recently that have color in the background, and they are I'm liking them. I'm liking that selection.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So when I am always drawn to my colors, my favorite colors. And I did a color theory class. I can't remember. Like when we first bought the shop, the only class that I've ever taught here, I do sand fabric too. Yep, see, you're not alone. But we did a color theory class, and I had all these printouts and all this stuff planned. And the conversation ended up basically in the whole class, the big takeaway is, what color did you see? We talked about contrast, which is super important when you're picking your fabrics. But the biggest takeaway, and I saw like a light bulb go off on a couple of really new quilters. When I look for fabric that either is the back or background, the non-focal fabric, I guess, I look for the one color that has the least usage. How to say that? So. Like for this one, probably the least amount of color, the yellow, I was like, ooh, that's what I want. Because if you have a teeny speckle of one color and you add that color, all of a sudden that pops.
That pops out.
It brings it out. So I immediately, with this one, I was looking for what has the least amount of, and it was the yellow. Well, I'm not drawn to yellows at all. So my first selections, immediately, and we didn't have technically we didn't walk around with it, so my brain immediately went to what? My favorite color, purple. And I picked them out and I put them together. I go, unbelievable. And I really try to trick myself, don't pick your favorite, try to get out of your comfort zone. And I wanted to pick yellows.
So it's always so much easier to work with those colors that are your comfort zone.
Your go-to, and 100%. And I subconsciously did this. And of course, I went with a batik first because I was sitting here looking at batiks. And so my brain, these patterns, it came out with this. Now, this would look awesome on the back, personally, I think. It's got the hints of blue in it, which is cool. So it'll match. Well, there's a few different shades of blue. But the purple, you can see immediately my brain went to purple. And I said, oh, no, stop doing that. You got to pick out the yellow. So then I went back. Let's hold it like this. That would make sense, right? Of course it would. That one is funky, kind of crazy. I don't like it as much, but the color, you see it's the same way. Now this one totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's kind of following the patterns, so you got a little bit of it. That makes sense. But I was like, no. There's too much blue in this already. There's not that much purple. And so I was like, ooh, how about a yellow? Now, I don't love the floral pattern as much with this, but just thinking about the color, I actually liked the yellow better than the purple.
Is this too yellow?
No, but it's not fun enough for me. I do sand fabric too. I already read that one. All right, cool. But again, I liked the fact that it was yellow. Now here's the only problem with that, it's on the back. So I think I would almost prefer to have a yellow if you're going to add a border with a little hint of yellow, and then stick with one of these purples for the background.
Cool.
That's where I would have. Wife was calling. I don't know if that interrupts the broadcast or not, but. So did you see where my brain went? Does that make sense to you at all? Trying to find the smallest amount of fabric or the smallest amount of color and then bringing that out?
That's interesting. I'm going to think about that.
So where did you go? The opposite way? I can already tell.
Well, I pulled this out because...
You went sand themed, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
That's cool. That was in your brain. See, there's not a wrong answer. That's what I love about quilting. Good morning, Audrey. Or sewing in general. All this is art. And so people go, you're not a quilter. And I'm like, no, I'm not necessarily this type of quilter. But it's all creating art. See, I love that. And I would have never thought about that. And it is. And somebody even else said sand. So you're going with a theme.
Yeah.
And I'm strictly color, which I love the idea of doing a theme.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the things that I think about when I'm thinking about a background or a backing or even putting fabrics together is keeping a theme in keeping the theme up, I think. Okay, so
it makes total sense to me. And that's amazing. Like I haven't taken your class, but I've walked in and that's probably an ongoing concept of yours. Because you're always thinking about a theme.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome.
Well, I think you have to have a format of where you start from. So I was also thinking about how do you put fabrics together? How do you find fabrics that will go together? If you're starting to make a quilt, what is your fabric? So I decided I would pull out those blocks that we have from our shop hop.
Yeah, this was the January shop hop.
This is the January shop hop, and this was all those blocks like this. And so we're trying to encourage you to join a quilt show that we would like to do using these blocks. So I thought, what better thing to use than this? In case you're looking at these, trying to figure out what do I do, how do I add color to this, or what should go with it. So I was actually kind of lucky in that I was looking through my things to find fabric to go with this. And I actually came across a little bundle that I had bought a long time ago of fabrics that are actually perfect for this. It has the blues, it has the oranges.
Yeah, it looks really cool with this tree too.
The fabrics were perfect to go with it. So that was kind of lucky. And then I decided there's a little tiny bit of red in this. So there's a little tiny...
There it is.
So here it is.
See, you were doing exactly what I did. See,
right.
She found the one bit of red right there in the... What is that?
It's a lifeguard stand, I think.
Yeah.
So I pulled out a red.
Oh, and that one's perfect for it. Hold on, look at this. By the way, at least one of us is on our game. That's right, we're going to have a quilt show. Jeez.
So I pulled out a red. Now, just because I have this great big piece of red doesn't mean I'm going to put a great big piece of red in the quilt.
Right.
But I will have a little bit just to kind of bring that out.
There's even some in the lighthouse.
That's right. There was some there. There's little bits and pieces of it. And then there's black. And so I chose some black. And I didn't choose a solid black. I went with a grunge. So it has some texture because all these panels have texture to them. There's nothing flat.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I can describe these. Everything has a movement to it. Now, when you look at so these are the fabrics that I chose for that.
That's a really good point. Not to interrupt you. And good morning, Tony. And good morning, Shan. I'm live. Don't call me. Black. So a lot of people either are afraid to add black because it's so strong. I love a little thin black border a lot of times because it really, it frames the quilt a lot of times, but also there's such a drastic contrast.
That's right.
When you add black in there. And it'll pull out this is a good example actually, so is that tree. There's some really dark blacks smack dab in the middle of that. And so it would just make it so much stronger, I guess.
Yes. And there are certain colors that if they're not the main focus of your quilt, you don't want to use a lot of them. Black would be one of them. Yellow is another one. You want to keep those at a minimum because they're going to add sparkle and life to your quilt, but they're also going to draw all your attention. So you want to make it small so it doesn't take away from the rest of your quilt, but it still adds something to it. So those are the colors I chose from that. And blacks are, I think, one of the things that you want to look at is does your pattern have texture, or is it kind of a solid looking thing? So when you look at the fabric that came with our current shop hop, and you really look at that, all of those colors, there's not a lot of texture in them. It's all, the only thing I can come up with is flat. You might have a better term for that.
Well, it's just, there's not a lot of contrast.
Yeah, and so when I was looking at this, I looked at that differently. So if I were going to put a black in here, I would put a solid black as opposed to one that has texture to it.
Yeah.
And so I pulled out these fabrics, and I have in my mind, I have a system that I go through.
These look familiar?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I have a system, and the system is that I want a large print, a small, depending upon how many fabrics, of course, a large print, a medium print, and a small print. I want a reeds as solid. I want a stripe and a dot. Now, so when I looked at this and what I could add to this to give it some interest, I came up with the blue because the blue in here. And once again, this blue has no texture. It's just a plain old solid. And then...
Yeah, see, I would have gone with the dark blue. I wouldn't have done a black with any of this.
No.
No way.
No.
Because you've got the real deep navy on like the bottom of the boat. Mm-hmm. That's not black, and I don't know if you can see, but... and good morning, Sam. Good morning, Char. So yes, you're right. That blue is nice.
Mm-hmm. So those were the colors that I added to it. I'm considering this my dot, honestly, because it does the little black beaks. They remind me of dots.
Yeah. Well,
so
it's a different it adds a different texture to it, a different
a different
print.
look.
You know, I mean, yeah, it's totally.
And then I pulled out this stripe. So and this would be in a border. That's where I prefer to use stripes and borders, and that's where this would go. And then I had an alternate stripe. I'm not as convinced with this one, but this is the alternate stripe.
Hold on, let me see that. At first, I'm like, and take no offense, I was like, that is not something I would ever. But I tell you, I don't really hate it with that.
That's such a recommendation. I don't really hate it.
That means I like it, by the way. That means I like it. Again, you know my feelings on these fabrics. It's hard for me to get super excited about these, but I tell you, when you start putting them all together, the color's really fun. And again, out of my comfort zone. Like, I never would have selected that. If you had held up these two, this all day is what I would choose. But, and maybe it's because it's Gators colors and, you know, go Knowles, but I don't know. But it looks great with this.
And it would depend, because once again, it would go in the border. It would depend upon how the quilt comes along from there.
Right.
How it builds. And
now, do you have the pattern picked out in your head? Because are you picturing these all chopped up, or do you start? Let me back up a minute. When you're selecting your fabric for a quilt, do you already have the quilt pattern in mind, or do you start with colors and then choose your pattern?
It sort of depends. There's, once again, how many times have I said this? Quilting is such an impulse buy sort of thing, and you walk in, and so this is one of the fabrics that I've been looking at in the shop, and I love this fabric. And one of these days I might even buy it.
You pick this out and look at it
every week.
I don't think you've ever done anything with it. Yeah.
No, because I have
It is awesome.
It is an awesome fabric.
This is my kind of fabric, yeah.
And I love this fabric, and so in thinking about this fabric, I think about what would I put with this. So this, once again, if I buy this will probably be something that I'm going to buy it, and eventually I'll do something with it, but I have no idea.
Sure.
And the same thing with this. But then other times I come in, I have a pattern, I know what I want to make, and I'm trying to find the fabric that will go with that.
I believe Shar just volunteered you to make a quilt kit for everyone. by the way.
Oh.
I think she said, I think that's what I saw. So, good morning, Dory. She said that is awesome. All right. She did say that, by the way.
Oh, did she?
Yes. And of course, I think she was joking. We know Shar. Yeah, I get people in all the time and I say, hey, what can I help you with? Or what brings you in? And a lot of times, and I love this answer, they go, inspiration.
Yes.
And I'm like, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So make yourself at home. And I say it all day because sometimes you just need to walk around.
And that is, that's part of the job of a quilt store, is to provide inspiration for things. The other thing is, when you're choosing fabric, the obvious, easy answer is to go with, whatever the fabric makers now are coming up with. Here's this fabric, but here's a whole line of fabric that will go with
collection.
it. And I kind of resist that to some extent because I don't want to be like everyone else. And so I try and add things or, use what I think will make it interesting. But
well, I love buying when I'm buying the fabric, when I'm sitting down, I love getting the full collection. Mm-hmm. When I can. It gets very expensive, so I have to, self-control. Not my strong suit. That's what my wife's for, though. But they've done the work for you.
Yes, they
These
have.
look so good together, and on the shelf. But at the same time, you don't have to stick in that collection. Mm-hmm. There's no rules. Again, we're going to say it a bazillion times.
Yes.
But it is nice when you go into a shop and it's not all random. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, there are some cohesive collections together, and and the samples, obviously, and we're going to crank out more and more samples because I hear people all the time, inspiration. Some people can't look at this and go, I would probably replace it with a sand background. Mm-hmm. They go, no, I want to make that.
Yes.
These exact colors, which is perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. Hence the kit that they're requesting.
Right.
Because they liked your selection. But
and kits are nice, and a line is nice. And especially if you're a beginner, to go with the line, and you can see how the fabrics work together. Now, the other thing that I started doing, when I first started quilting, lines were awful. You just really, they weren't very inspiring, and they have become more and more interesting as time goes on, and it's harder and harder for me to choose fabrics outside of that line because those are so cool.
Yeah.
But, I try and challenge myself. Anytime I'm doing that, I challenge myself to go outside the line and find something that will go with that and works in with that, so that I'm stretching my ability to choose a fabric.
And you're growing as a quilter, as a sewer, as an artist, however you want to put it. And Tony points out, kits build color confidence. That's totally true.
That's right.
And she's a quilt king, or a kit queen. Mm-hmm. Quilt king. That's
whatever
a mouthful.
Works for you, Tony.
A kit queen. Mm-hmm. So it's a good point.
Yes, it does. And I think that's, I was looking at a quilt recently that I quilted for somebody else, and she had bought a kit. And I looked at that kit and I thought, I looked at the finished product and I thought, wow, I would never have chosen those fabrics to go together, and yet the quilt looked beautiful. Yeah. And so it really is a place to, for a long time I just said, do not use kits. They provide a crutch. But now I say, use a kit. It provides a learning experience.
Totally. And I've seen people buy kits and they take one piece out that they just doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
But at least they're getting the general. And some people don't know where to start. That's another way to kind of get pushed, get moving. So.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. So before I forget, someone had asked early on about the pattern for this. Mm-hmm. So this was done entirely on a Solaris or a Luminaire, however you want. If you're a brother person or a baby lock person, the top of the line. Quilting? So yes, entirely done in IQ Designer what's the brother one called? PE Design? No, that's anyway. The IQ Designer. We're going to talk about baby lock because that's who we are, right? Literally everything was done on the machine, in the machine. So we have a Solaris club or a Solaris class starting in April, I think the 19th. Don't quote me on that. And it's going to start from the very beginning of how to navigate your machine. So if you're a Solaris or a Luminaire owner, this class is for you. And actually, the idea is you're going to work your way up to being able to do this entirely on the machine from scratch, which is really, really cool. And not all machines can do that. In fact, it's pretty much the Solaris only. There's probably some ways around it, and obviously you can cut stuff out in applique. But as far as creating everything in the machine, all the quilting is done in the hoop. So yeah, you see her face. Joann and embroidery machines.
Frightening to me.
2 peas in a pot.
But I will say the applique on this, it's all machine applique, and it's very nice. I'm sure from your standpoint, you can't tell you can't see the stitching.
Yeah.
And that's because it's so nicely done. It really is a nice applique stitch.
Yeah. So my apologies if I led you on. I forgot who asked if we had the pattern for this. Technically, no. I should have just said that. But it is all done, and it was a great opportunity for us to choose some fabrics just to see how our brains are different, but yet they both work, and also to kind of segue into promoting this class. And by the way, she used that fabric, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I chose that one, because that pattern kept replicating. It was that same sort of, for some reason, my mind was drawn to the, there it is. Yeah, that's why.
It right there too. Great color choices.
Yeah. Okay. And also, Joann mentioned the quilt show, and so did I, like months ago, weeks ago at least. So, boy, I don't know if I remember all the details. How sad is that? So I'm going to talk with Joann right after this, and we're going to put out some information about the quilt show that we're going to be having. But essentially, Florida inspired. It started off with, we wanted to see what you made with your blocks. That was the motivation. But then there's the all Florida shop hop going on. So I think we kind of broadened it and said, what did you make with either your, I forgot the name of this shop hop blocks,
or this one,
or the all Florida shop hop blocks. We just want to see your creations. We want you to hang them up, bring them to our shop. We're going to hang them up and display them for a week, I think is what we said. And people, as customers come in, we will have them come around and choose their favorites, right?
Exactly.
So that it essentially is our own little quilt show, your own little quilt show. And I'll put up some fun, prizes for the most voted.
And we're hoping you'll participate.
We want you to. It's literally supposed to be fun. I was joking when we first announced it, again, months ago or weeks ago.
Don't say the C
about
word.
It not being a C word. We do want to. I love friendly competition, but that's not the motivation for it. It is just to inspire each other and have fun. And so I will make sure to put out some more information with the details very soon. And I before I go to Lakeland.
That's right. And I think that we had not limited to just quilts. I've seen a couple that, I've seen some things that were made into pillows. I've seen them made into purses. There's just a lot of really cool ways. And, I think quilts, that's where my mind goes. But, not all of you are like that. And you have a whole lot of other creative things going on in your head. And by all means, those are great things to add too.
If you made a placemat, if you made a bag, if you made a table runner,
I hadn't thought about that.
Why not,
Placemats.
right? So maybe we shouldn't call it a quilt show.
Yeah.
A sew and quilt show.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to call it now.
Just bring your stuff. We're going to hang it up and people are going to get to look at it and love it.
That's right.
And Shar said it's a great chance for all to participate. Absolutely. That's what we want. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's about the community and just, it's a humongous week-long show and tell.
It should be fun.
And the winner will get something cool, or the most voted. See, I had to use the word winner. Sorry.
Most voted. That's right.
Yes,
I don't know what's going to happen when everybody has the same amount of votes, and then you have.
I know. I don't know. Everybody's a winner.
Everybody's a winner. That's right.
There's no losers.
Can
I can guarantee.
Maybe little trophies like the kids get.
Okay, perfect. Tony said she was going to make make 6 placemats with these.
Oh,
so that's cool.
I can't wait to see that.
Love it. Sew and tell. Yeah. I didn't, you've heard of that before, so I'm not that clever, Tony. So yes, stay tuned. We will make sure that we put that out. Thank you for bringing that back up.
Oh,
because I was super excited about it, and then we just quilt
Everything
show,
happened
shop
and-
hop, and here we are.
And so in keeping with that, if you want to use this fabric instead of this fabric, I think we said that was okay.
Totally, absolutely.
And there's still a lot of this around, so you can, these squares you can't get, but the...
Yeah, well, we have like 4 of those Flagler Beach blocks left, like literally only 4. There were 120 left over, like 120 people that didn't come to the shop hop.
and signed up for
That
it.
signed up for it. But so other people got a chance to get them, which is cool. But I think there's only 4 left. So if somebody really wants one, call us today because they've been going really fast. I could see aprons sewn together. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, what a fun... Oh, my goodness.
Look at you, Shar.
Oh, wow. What a great apron. I've been trying to figure... I love this fabric, but I had no idea what I would do with it.
I saw a little dress. One of the shops posted a little dress, like a little girl's little dress, and it was super cute.
Oh, my goodness. So those are all ideas. Dress, apron. I'm liking the apron.
Congrats, Cassie! Woo, woo, woo! We will call you if you don't watch this, of course, to tell you the good news. But yes, right. Awesome. Hello, Pamela. Good morning. I think that's it. Now I can officially say I think that's it. We've said congrats to Cassie. We've talked about the class and just choosing fabric. There's no wrong answers, but hopefully just our conversation sparked some ideas. I think that's what we're trying to do. So you guys have an amazing day. Have a great day, everyone. You too, Tony. And we will see you soon.
Okay.
Take care and give us a call if you have any questions on any of the stuff we ever talk about.
Right.
All right. Bye, guys.
See you next week.